business ideas die in this stage. Most folks with an engineering or software development background will just start writing code. Or business folks will have some of these ideas, but they didn't have the ability to actually go do this validation.
Hey folks, this is Matt Makai. How would an experienced CEO use large language models differently to battle test business ideas? This week, I'm working with Paddy Srinivasan, the CEO of DigitalOcean, to see how he uses LLMs to do just that. So Paddy, you have been using some LLMs in order to battle test business ideas and business cases, and you want to build on top of our new open source SaaS starter kit, C-Stack. What were you thinking of building, and how are you thinking about coming up with the idea?
I've been figuring out how much of this LLM to write production code is real. I've always wanted to build a custom portfolio management application of some sort. If I had invested $1,000 on this stock in 2005, what would that have made me? And also a way for me to learn options trading, derivative trading, and things like that. So I thought I can probably bring these two things together and figure out a way to have AI help me brainstorm. First of all, like, is this even a good idea? Should I invest time in building this? I have a little prompt that I wrote in my spare time. So this is ChatGPT 5, and the prompt is pretty straightforward. So I'm saying I want to build a new application that tracks a portfolio of stocks, options, and other simple derivatives. Number two is it should provide some research and investment tips and competitive research and those kinds of things. Also have a learning mode that can help teach the user like me how to practice investing without actually spending money. Essentially, create a full fledged application based on this concept. So let me just go and see what ChatGPT thinks of this idea.
I'm really interested in seeing what you, how you work with the LLM as an executive. What was the your rationale behind everything that you put into the prompt?
I just spent like literally 5 minutes just thinking about what I would want in an application as a user. And I would imagine that there are many other people like me who want some of these capabilities. So I want ChatGPT to help me brainstorm whether these are great ideas. Am I missing something obvious? So those are going to be some of my prompt refinements.
You're using your own idea, saying, here's what I would want to build, and then here's what might be applicable to other potential
The word
customers.
PRD kind of gives me a little bit of
And
chills.
PRD is a product requirements document for
Yeah.
those that have not been initiated. So is this what you were expecting? It's almost like jumping into the implementation as opposed to giving you enough of like a business case.
Okay, it's a little too detailed for where I am in my research. So maybe we click back up a level and get ChatGPT to take a bigger picture view of before we do this. Let's see if this idea is even worth pursuing. I would like to make this application commercially available. Do some research to find out what a customer ideal customer profile might look like. If we had an application like this, would you be a potential user,
I
Matt?
would, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I use Robinhood and Charles
And
Schwab and all those, Fidelity.
yeah, I think it is time to reinvent many categories, or I think many categories will be reinvented, this being one.
One of my favorite YouTubers who basically just builds like side businesses and things like that and talks about how to think about your customers. He just says everything is up for grabs right now. Like all the apps that have already been built, think about how they could be rebuilt in a completely different way using LLMs or AI.
Exactly, exactly.
Walk me through real quick before we go into this. Like you build the whole business and it's got the implementation details, and then the next thing you really jump to is like, what is this customer? What is the ICP, ideal customer profile?
The cost of developing software is crashing down, right? The concept of building an application is not where the value is. Is building the right application that solves a real user problem is going to be where the value is created. So that's why nailing the primary ideal customer profile or ICP is a really, really important thing. So what ChatGPT says is self-directed prosumer investors, age. I don't know why they should be US centric, but ages 25 to 44, tech forward,
All right.
um, have some reasonable investable assets. I think this all makes sense.
this is kind of getting into like the total addressable market, or at least the accessible initial market. Does that stuff matter to you when you're coming
Absolutely,
up with
yeah.
the idea or you're
Yeah,
thinking through a business case?
understanding how big your application or your business can be is a really important thing, right? It's a P times Q. What can we ideally charge, and how many customers can we potentially acquire, and what is the cost of acquiring every customer? I think this is the holy grail of fleshing out a business idea. So let's see how far we can get. But in terms of the ICP, this is amazing, right? So this is saying that the ultimate ICP is a prosumer, self-directed, so very much like a Robinhood type of persona. There's also learners. I mean, this is a big deal for me because, yeah, I know I can sign into Robinhood, but that just presumes that I know what I'm doing, especially when it comes to like options and more sophisticated instruments. It doesn't have a learning mode that can really help me practice and explain and share it with my buddies. Just like the amount of educational content for fantasy football, honestly, dwarfs anything serious to make money. So I think if we can figure out a way to do that, I think there'll be a lot of people.
So is that a piece to your idea? It's almost like applying fantasy football to stock trading and seeing how
Exactly.
it
Yeah.
goes.
So let's see. You
Okay.
have to find the next Saquon Barkley. Acquisition channels. Yeah, this is early pricing. So this was going to be another question of mine is let's ask ChatGPT to refine this a little bit. One of the other questions: how many people like this exist? Look at other similar products to estimate the total number of potential customers, and also let's test what a user would be willing to pay for a service like this. Separate it into learning mode and trading mode, and using all of the above, estimate the total addressable market, which is the TAM. So let's see what ChatGPT comes back with.
Would there be any like just straight red flags for you if it says certain segments of the market, or you? I don't. How are you thinking about framing the TAM?
I think with social media and some of these mobile applications, Matt, it's amazing how many people are actually trading themselves, right? So it says 16 to 17 million self-directed investors. That's a massive market. Self-directed investors that trade options, 3 million. I would not have guessed it is as high as 3 million.
Options
Wow.
trading. I mean that actually might be one of the fastest growing parts of the retail trading market is options trading. I don't think that was really much of a market say 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, so look at this. It's for the learning mode. It says we can charge trading view charges $14 a month, stock rover $28 a month. Seeking alpha is again like 20 bucks a month plus trading mode. I think there's something here. So it says total addressable TAM 16 million learning mode. This is basically casual investors, individual investors. So it could be $3 billion is the combined US TAM for if we get 100% of the market. So it is a modest idea, I would say.
You're looking at it as like really just getting validation on that there's why would someone really want to use this, and then you layer on sort of a go no go decision with the TAM. Like TAM is almost, it's not that it's less important, it's just like it's either a yes or a no that the TAM exists, whereas the bottoms up is really where the nuance comes in. Is that you said that's how you're looking at it?
Yeah, the TAM has to be big enough for anyone to pursue this idea, even as a hobby application. And then we can go into, how do we get how do we establish a social presence? How do we become an influencer? Should we start offering a freemium version of this product? Like there are many other ways by which we can actually start acquiring customers, but just understanding what the P times Q is from a bottoms up point of view so that we can figure out how much we would have to invest in an idea like this before we start breaking even from a cash flow point of view.
And I would assume these are questions that venture capitalists are going to ask any startup founder when they're looking to even raise seed funding.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. So it's interesting that the bar for even a seed round these days have become not just having an idea and great founders with pedigree and stuff like that. You need to have an application and not just a prototype or something in private beta or something like that. The expectation now is that you should not only be able to have a working application, you should also have paying customers and show some hockey stick adoption of the application before you're considered for any kind of serious rounds of investment.
Seed funding is now 10 or $20 million, where it used to be, $100,000 check. So the bar has very much been raised there. Well, then, okay. So you've got the
Absolutely.
TAM. Where would you go from here?
Yeah, so I feel fairly good that we have the TAM, we have some competitive analysis here, we have a couple of tiers of a learning mode and a trading mode. So I think we have enough. But let me ask the LLM to kind of suggest how do we build this in different chunks, right? Let's ask ChatGPT to create a set of MVP features split into four different parts. And also, as a product person, I'm sure you will appreciate this. I'm also going to ask for leading and lagging indicator metrics that we can use to track if the application is being successful. Like, how do we track adoption, right? I think it's really important to understand how do we nurture the app to make sure that we are building momentum as we release different phases of this application. Okay, so portfolio MVP, for those of you who don't know, is minimum viable product. So this is the essential set of capabilities we need to launch a commercial version of this application. So it says it needs to create and manage multiple portfolios, import existing portfolio using a CSV, so on and so forth. That looks good. It also gives me a demo script and a user guide. Learning mode is phase two. Okay, so this is pretty useful. So we have four phases of the app, suggested metrics. Okay, let's look at this. Leading indicators, activation. So this is your wheelhouse, Matt. So why don't you explain what you're seeing here?
Yeah. So, okay, let's see. So activation, meaning in this case, the number of users who create or percentage of users who create a portfolio within 24 hours. So they might be coming to your app, but are they actually using it? Do they create a portfolio? Because if they come into your app, they sign up and they do nothing, it really is not going to lead to any business. The one I would move up in this list, I would put virality as the second thing, because if you're going with the angle, like you were saying, with the fantasy football style, learning style, then you want them to create a portfolio, and then you want them to immediately share the application with friends so that they can then you've got them hooked in some sort of like network effect, ideally.
Yeah, absolutely right. This is not that far from what you and I would write in our goal spreadsheet, right? This is yeah, visitors signups are interesting, but activation is where it's what really matters, right? And then once you activate, are you engaged? Are you actually using the features that drive adoption and drive stickiness? And what is the virality of this application so that you can get your friends and family to start using it and gamify this a little bit? So I think these are really good leading and lagging indicators. Finally, so the question is, would you like me to package this into a playbook doc with demo scripts, metrics? Should we just ask if ChatGPT can compile all of this into a
Okay,
business plan?
let's see. Yeah, let's see
Let's
it.
see what it does. Ooh, it's almost instantaneous, meaning that it was anticipating this question.
It'd be interesting to see if there's anything new in here. I think they've got the some pricing
Okay, so
information, so maybe it's added some new things.
it is suggesting some technical architecture stuff, monetization strategy.
Well, there's the deployment. We've got DigitalOcean right
Oh,
there.
that's cool. That is really cool. Monetization strategy, free tier. Okay, there you go. That's the free. I love this. I think it's already suggesting a freemium business model as a consumer app. Board ready, one page executive summary. Why not? Our business plan is on a single page, man.
So this is wild. So what would probably have previously taken 30 to 60 days to put all this together to do the research in less than an hour, we've gone from idea to having the whole initial business plan to work off of.
Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, um, I think I'm itching to get on with step one, which is building the MVP app one of this sequence.
And so how do you think about it? Like, you got to put in the work up front to kind of just battle test the idea, make sure that the bottoms up motion is reasonable, the TAM is reasonable, and then for you, you kind of get that, as you said, like almost the itch. All right, let's just go do it.
Yeah, let's. I really want to play around with something like Cloud Code that I've heard so much about, and I know we just shipped the C-Suite reference application. I want to use that as a starting point to build C stocks. This is the application that we just Vibe created. What is the step that we just did, Matt? What is the name for that?
The vibe, I don't know, vibe
Vibe
ideation.
ideation. Yeah.
We gotta come up with a catchy name for it. But the vibe coding is definitely a more established term, which is what we can do next for all of this.
Cool. So I think this is good for step one.
So you have the business case. Obviously, this looks like a reasonable approach. How are you thinking about like how obviously AI has changed the ideation process, but how are you thinking about kind of how AI is impacting the overall like business of software and like what you're seeing and how the landscape is changing?
Most business ideas die in this stage, right? Because either you just start developing, or business folks will have some of these ideas in their minds, but they didn't have the ability to actually go do this validation. A lot has been written and discussed about, we have an idea, you can start vibe coding, but the vibe ideation is also a very important way to validate whether your idea has merit.
It used to be if you were non-technical, you couldn't even get started. I actually think it's much more accessible now with putting together a prototype that users can actually start using right away as a non-technical user. If you are a really capable person, even if you're an executive who's got a really busy schedule, you're way more productive in and actually able to accomplish something that was almost previously impossible.
Well said.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Subscribe to our channel to follow Paddy build and deploy this vibe coded app.